שלום לכולם וברוכים הבאים לפרק נוסף של פודקאסט בית הנינג'ה, בית המארח אנשים שהם נינג'ות לחיים, והיום אני שמח לארח את פרופסור דיוויד פיורי. דיוויד נולד בשנת 1965 בברוקלין שבניו יורק, ארצות הברית. בשנת 1996 הוא למד מדעי הספורט והפילוסופיה של המזרח מטעם אוניברסיטת טוקיו. הוא החל את דרכו בעולם אומנויות לחימה מגיל צעיר, והיום הוא המייסד והנשיא של פיורי אינטרנשיונל מיקס קומבט מרשל ארט סיסטם. דיוויד היה חי תקופה מסוימת בישראל בה לימד נינג'יטסו. אפשר לומר שהוא הסבא שלי בתחום אומנויות הלחימה, מאחר והוא הסנסei של מאסטר איתן לוי, שהוא הסנסei שלי, וגם של דיוויד חליבה. איתם ערכתי רעיונות נוספים שאתם יכולים לראות. חשוב לי לציין, את הרעיון הזה אני אערוך בשפה האנגלית, מדי פעם נשתמש אולי בעברית, אבל רובו יהיה בשפה האנגלית, מאחר והרעיון הזה גם יוצא כנראה בארצות הברית, אז מי שדובר עברית בלבד עמכם הסליחה, ואני אנסה למצוא לכם פתרון הולם. So Professor David Fury, welcome to the Ninja House, Beta Ninja. It's a great pleasure to have you here with us. Let's start from the beginning with your permission. If you can tell us about yourself. Who is Professor David Fury? What does he do in his life? And how did he become a martial artist?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Let me correct a few things. I wasn't born in America. I was born in Ukraine, Odessa.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was born in Ukraine, Odessa, and I was brought to America because of the Jewish movement in the mid-60s. And I was brought to New York through the back roads of China, because communism was very bad for Jews after the Holocaust. Half of my family was annihilated in Ukraine, also in Auschwitz. And whoever was left after all the annihilation were able to leave during the years of Brezhnev. In late 60s, we came to America in 1971. I became an American citizen in 1973, I think. And my life began in America, I believe in 1971 or 1970 when we got here. I was about 4 or 5 years old in Brooklyn, New York, during the hardest times of gangs and people being very racist against Jews, blacks, you name it. Really bad with Jews and Russian Jews coming from Ukraine, but for them it was all dirty Russian Jews. That's what they used to yell on the streets. My family at the time, there was many of us that we came. It wasn't just me, my sisters, and my mother and my father. It was my aunts, my uncles. I believe it was something like about 20, 25 people. Some went to Israel, and some came to America. So this is how that started. It was very difficult times because although my family wasn't religious, I was put in the yeshiva, Lubavitch yeshiva, that I believe from first grade until 8th grade, you know, and after that I went to a regular high school, which was Abraham Lincoln High School. But during this time, it was very difficult on the streets in Brooklyn, Brighton Beach area, Coney Island area, where all the famous movies come from, because it was crazy time. There was no Brighton Beach. It was a Brighton Beach, but it was full of Latin and black, and the Hasidic Jews were being abused and killed, and really terrible times. Because I remember when we were young, we had to fight to keep the gangs and the thieves. We had to protect our community because the police wasn't around, and the Lubavitch yeshiva that I used to go to, we had like security groups that helped to watch Brighton, where the Hasidic Jews used to live outside of Borough Park. And with all that, all the gangs that were around, the Irish and the black gangs, the Spanish, Puerto Rican gangs that used to, all the time, if you had to go to the store or if you had to go anywhere, you weren't escorted by a few people, you could have got mugged or stabbed or hurt very badly. Those were terrible times during mafia days of hardship in New York City, Brooklyn especially, Bronx, Brooklyn. This was a very, very difficult time for anyone. I'm not saying only for Jews, yes, but for a young boy that was wearing a kippah, a yarmulke,
You were a Hasidic?
A young boy.
You used to dress like a Hasidic?
Yes. Yes. I didn't know. Listen. אני לא ידעתי מה זה חוסד, אני לא ידעתי מה זה להיות דתי, אני ידעתי מה זה לשרוד בחוץ מול כל הקבוצות מסוכנות שהיו מרביצים לי, היו קוראים, היו עושים דברים לא יאומנים לילדים או אנשים אחרים בגלל שהם היו אנשי רעים מאוד, אוקיי? And the only way that you were able to go outside and play outside, or go even to the store to buy milk or bread by yourself, or even ride a bicycle if you were lucky, or a skateboard, you would probably wind up getting beat up. I got beat up many, many times. I was in a hospital because a couple of times that they I got stabbed. I was 8 years old, 7 years old. I got stabbed in my stomach. I got beat up very badly because the Italian and the Irish gangs that were in the area, because we were in a white area of Sheepshead Bay and Bay Ridge and Bensonhurst, if anybody knows what that is. It's the center of Brooklyn. But there were no blacks. There was only Italian and Irish. And the worst type of gangs that was amongst the mafia that controlled those gangs because of drugs and weapons and everything else, if you didn't pay them, you had to be a part of them, So imagine me with hair, okay, looking like a good Jewish boy with curly black hair, okay, with a yarmulke, okay, trying to walk amongst these people, okay, with the bus coming. It didn't happen, I got hurt many times until I had to fight back and do crazy things, terrible things, which I don't want to remember too much because really nobody could have protected you. When you were with, my grandmothers raised me because my father and my mother worked all the time. It was very difficult. So the only people that were around were really my grandmothers and some people from the neighborhood that knew us, that used to help me walk to the bus. They used to come and pick me up from the yeshiva and take me back. And this is when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. During that time, I was already training with Louis Neglia. That's the first sensei, who was a world champion kickboxer and jiu-jitsu master. In the area, he was Italian. Everybody knows who Louis Neglia is. Master Neglia is world known. So my father couldn't teach me, and my grandfather was too old at the time to continue teaching me because he was a war veteran. And I had to go to the karate school, which helped me understand a little bit of, what I had to deal with. This was very difficult times. You have to understand that you're not dealing with sport. You're not dealing with everybody being nice. You're dealing with people that are trying to kill you, take your money. At the time it was maybe $2, $3 because it was different time in life. That with that kind of money, you were able to get lunch or to buy some kind of food, because not always food was good in the schools. Although they fed you in the yeshivas, not bad, but to have some kind of money so you can buy yourself maybe a soda, or maybe buy yourself something, a piece of gum, 50 cents at that time, this was taken away from you, and taken away from you, not nicely, taken away from you by getting your head broken and getting kicked in places that I don't want to talk about. And this is how Fury, really, really started on the streets, even before the karate schools or before anything else. The violence that was going on was a hello, how are you? Shalom, אתה הגעת לברוקלין, ניו יורק, והנה, זה בשבילך מתנה. תחייך ותשרוד. אתה מבין, אחרי שאתה רואה כל הבלגן וכל הדברים האלה שהפכו את הנשמה של, אני חושב, כל אחד שאם אתה היית רוצה לשרוד, אפילו להסתובב בחוץ. So the times in those days, it did something, to a person's state of mind, to a heart, spirit, because what they teach you in books was not what was going on in life. Where you're supposed to, take a slap, take a punch, and say, okay, no problem, I forgive you. That wasn't happening, because next time they hit you more and harder and worse. So what we were being taught in the yeshiva didn't apply on the streets of Brooklyn, because it wasn't going on. So I had to change. And the way that I had to change was the way that I believe in all stories of Jews growing up in Brooklyn. I believe in the early 1900s, during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, definitely changed people. Some decided to say, okay, I'm not going to fight. Some became professional killers, is what you see today.
It sounds like you had to choose. You had no other options.
Yes, I've seen many of my friends who were good people, boys and girls, die for no reason. I didn't want to die. I was more scared about dying and seeing my friends get badly hurt next to me than anything else. Plus, how much can you get beat up? How much can you get hurt until you change psychologically, until you change emotionally and physically? War and hardship changes everyone, from innocent into things that you don't want to think about. In reality,
how do you think it changed?
Changes the moment. How it changed me?
Yes. What do
Well,
you
there's a book that I'm working on for the last 25 years, 20 years. It's called The Fury of New York. Okay. I called it The Fury of New York because this is what really I became. I became, until I understood what I became, not because I was watching Bruce Lee, The Fists of Fury, which I love very much. I grew up watching this individual, unbelievable, him and Sonny Shiba back in the day, and some other crazy people, which was really fun. But it changed me into I don't like to use these words, but it changed me into something very, very dark and very, very very bad. You know, it showed me that the books of the Bible, unless you have the option to live that way, the only way you can live is to nisrod, to survive. And the way that you can survive of war is to become fury, to become war itself. And this is before I even understood what I'm talking about. What I understood, because things change and you can't explain what's going on because you're too young to understand. But no, you have to do what you have to do, because if not, either you're gonna get hurt, or people that you love are gonna get hurt, or there is just no way to live that way. So this is how it changed me. I became, from a good Jewish boy, I became Fury. But I didn't know that I was Fury then. I just knew that I was, they say this, a badass. Okay? בן אדם מאוד אכזרי, ובן אדם ונשמה מאוד קשה, שאני לא הייתי עושה חשבון לאף דבר או אף אחד אחרי שדברים עברו שלבים קשים, שהייתי צריך לא רק לחיות ולשרוד, וגם להגן. אני חושב שאני אומר את זה נכון בעברית? להגן על עצמי ואנשים שאני אוהב, ואנשים שחשובים לי, משפחה, חברים אדירים, וככה. So I became Fury. I didn't know at the time that that was what it was, but I became what I was because I had to live and I had to try to make money. You know, it was very difficult. I used to work from the age of 9, 10. I used to go and give newspapers to the people, because we used to have to hand out newspapers to the people. And I used to deliver pizza so I can have money, because not always my family had money to pay for my karate, you know, for my jujitsu, you know. My grandfather and my uncles, they used to teach me sambo, because our heritage is Russian sambo, okay, going way back to my cousins who created my family, who wrote the Russian sambo system in the 1900s, 1905. The name was Vasily Abramovich Shchepkov, who wrote sambo of Russia, is a cousin of mine, a family member of mine. So my grandfather used to teach me, and my father used to teach me before they couldn't teach me anymore, and that didn't help too much because they weren't showing me how to fight, they were just showing me how to be strong. Louis Naglia, which was Kempo karate and kickboxing, boxing, and jujitsu, which was the main classes, and judo was what started and what helped me. But mainly what helped me on the street is just being a beast and being strong, because I grew up saying, I want the whole world to understand what's going on here, because I have friends in many, many countries. I have masters, which I've helped make today. and promoted to be masters from over 17 countries, I think 19 countries in all. So I want them to understand, because not everybody speaks Hebrew. And I love Israel very much. Maybe I come back, but Israel is very dear to me, as life is. So with all this, growing up, and becoming this dark beast, okay, I'm going to use the word chayara, this beast, because when I was already 11 years old, I was part of groups that I'm not proud of, but I had to become part of that. So I was able to survive. And after, I think about the age of 13, 14, I became a leader of these groups because I was a badass. And I, like the rest of the Jews, if you know a history of American, I don't want to say underground or mafia, all right? Some of the worst mafia or strongest business types in Brooklyn, New York were Jews, because you had no choice. If you didn't become Fury, I'm laughing. Not funny, really. If you didn't become Fury, people would abuse you. Other nationalities would abuse you. And they would not let you live in peace and quiet. So, with this, how did Fury become Fury? I started working, using my powers that I learned at a very young age, and I became professional at 16, 15. I don't want to explain what professional on the street means. If you're smart, you understand what that means. It's not MMA. This is real ninjutsu, survival, histardut, and helping people, because the whole thing was, first of all, to help myself, not to die, not to get hurt, to help my family. And the people that I loved, I cared about the other Jewish Magen David schools, yeshivot, Magen David, Lubavitch, yeshivot. We taught them, at that time, we taught them jujitsu and ninjutsu and boxing and Agana Etzmit. I used to volunteer and go with my one of my teachers from the yeshiva, just to help. No money, no nothing, just to teach other datim. דתיים רוצים להתפלל כל יום. כשאתה אומר להם להרים ידיים, לארגן על עצמם, אם הם לא בקבוצה של 100 איש, הם יושבים ומפחדים. אני לא צריך להסביר, בארץ זה אותו דבר. ישראלים מחזיקים מעמד, דתיים מתפללים, תודה אלוהים על התפילה. אמן. So thank God for the prayers, but somebody gotta keep the peace, and usually it's the monsters that are inside that keep the peace, because peace is not kept with a smile, peace is kept with כוח, כוח. היה בן אדם שהייתי מאוד אוהב אותו ומכבד אותו, זה היה רבי כהנא. אני לא יודע אם אתה יודע מי זה היה כוח. הוא עזר היהודים קצת יותר ממה שצריך לעשות שקט, but Meir Kahana, Rabbi Kahana was one of the best people that I knew who helped to build the Jewish Defense League, the JDL. If you know what this is, the Jewish Defense League was a very big thing, which, thank you for them, that helped save a lot of Jews in Brooklyn and around America, in very bad places, Chicago, LA, mainly New York City, and around the world. But what am I going to say? So with all this, I became professional. I started working in security at the age of 16. I was a big guy because I always trained. I trained with weights, and I trained with fighting. One of my instructors with weights was the guy that made the first Hulk movies, Lou Ferrigno. Lou Ferrigno was the movie star and a bodybuilder with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He helped me to train with weights that made me into a champion in wrestling, because I wrestled in high school. I liked collegiate wrestling and Greco-Roman wrestling. I loved that all the time because that's a historical piece of MMA. Before MMA, mixed martial arts, we didn't have that. We had Ninjutsu, we had blood sport, we had all these beautiful, beautiful movies with Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee, you know, Texas Ranger, and everybody else. But the bottom line was that you had to figure out what works for you when the time comes when people put guns at your head or knives at your throat or in your face, and they kill a few people around you, and then you have to figure out what the hell you're going to be doing with your strength or your capabilities. So I met a few people along my trip. I met a great professor, which I loved very dearly, which is a mentor to me, was Professor Ronald Duncan, Master sensei Ronald Duncan. I met him because I used to go to the Madison Square Garden with Louis Neglia to see him fight, and I saw this incredible spirit of war, not sport, of war. I saw a devil. I saw the devil himself, or the god of war.
Spirit, not performance, right?
Spirit, הנשמה, הנשמה והרוח של הדבר שאני ראיתי היה מדהים, שתפס לי את הנשמה ותפס לי את העיניים, שאני הבנתי שזה צריך להיות אני, זה הדרך. הבן אדם הזה היה a veteran he served in Vietnam. He came back from being a Green Beret, or working with the Green Berets. It was Professor Ronald Duncan. He was a Marine, and he was showing American Ninjutsu, Koga-Ryu Ninjutsu. And this individual, this black man, was very small and doing things that you would see in a ring, because in Madison Square Garden, they were only allowed to work in a ring, a fighting ring, and doing things, catching arrows, throwing stars, using all kinds of weapons to take people out, you know. מוריד בן אדם בשנייה בלי שאתה סוגר עין, זהו, לפני שאתה נוחת באדמה, הנשמה הלכה לאלוהים. אני ראיתי את זה בגיל 14-15, אמרתי, this is ninja. This is real, not sport, not MMA, life and death. Live or die. Do or die. Kill or be killed. I don't care how you say it. Survival. Isardut. Real Isardut. Ninjutsu is real Isardut. No matter how, no matter where, no matter what. Do or die. That's it. And I applied to his school when I was 14 years old, 15 years old. While I was competing in jiu-jitsu and Goju karate at the time with Louis Neglia, and also wrestling, and of course on the street making money, because I had to live from the street. I had to find work. You know, I couldn't. My father, my mother, they weren't giving me money. That we had to keep the family. We had two grandmothers, my sister, plus we had to help out our cousins. It was very difficult times in the 70s. And so that's what happened. I started making money on the street the way I knew how, and I joined Professor Duncan. And he knew what I was doing. He just always watched me and cared for me and loved me and took me with him to all the military bases in America on the South. And he used to take me to the Navy SEALs because I was a big kid and he knew I was a real fighter. You know, it doesn't matter that I was a green belt. It didn't matter that I was a purple belt. I was still working with the guys that were black belt, first degree, second degree, fifth degree. They used to take me to all the military bases because I was a great beat up. He could beat me up, throw me anywhere, stand me on my head. Whatever had to be done, David was there. And I wound up traveling with Professor Duncan for about 8 years. I competed in bear fighting on the street because this is how I used to make my money. I used to work in clubs, discos at the time, bars. Like I said, I became professional at 16, 15, working in security, fighting for money, $50 on the street, whatever it took. Plus, outside of that, I also worked as a bodyguard for some of the bad people because they paid a lot of money, and money, as they say, when you're young, closes your eyes. And that's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. But it closed my eyes and I became scared. I became, as they say, this is what it is. I became a lone wolf, and I became scared. I became, it's a bad word. I don't like using this word, so I'm not gonna say it. Okay. I became a professional soldier. Let's put it like this, at a very young age. Before I came to Israel, I was already a professional. When I came to Israel and believed in what Israel was doing, because I was taught that this is the future for all Jews, you know.
This is why you decided to come to Israel? This is the reason?
Well, one of the reasons. I'm not going to get into it too deeply. When, God willing, when my book comes out, The Fury of New York, you guys are going to be able to read it. Hopefully, I finish it soon. But there was other reasons why I came to Israel, because I wasn't such a good boy in America. Mm-hmm. I had to take a little vacation because of all the good things that I've did or I have done professionally. And my future took me to a place that maybe, as they say, Gilgul Nishamot. I don't know if you believe in all this, you know, that sooner or later your soul goes back to where it belongs, where it came from in the first place, you know, something like this. I don't know if you want to believe in all this, it's up to you. The change of souls, the continuation of karma. You know, what goes around comes around, the universe, how everything is made. And Professor Duncan always supported me. Louis Negley always supported me. I had another incredible friend. His name was Master Richie Barathi. He was a Native American, and he was the master of American combat karate. Unbelievable individual. He was the world record holder for breaking stone with his hands, head, body, whatever it was. He was a very good friend of mine, and I loved him dearly. He died too soon because of complications of life. And the man, all these people supported me when I went to Israel, because although Israel was very powerful always, amen, I hope it stays that way. It was known that, you know, maybe this is where I belong. some way, somehow, God brought me to Israel, you know. I wished for it when I was there during my bar mitzvah at the Kotel. When I went to the Kotel and I said my bar mitzvah, I said, let me come back to Israel when I was 13 years old. And there you go, behold and hold. 9 years later, something like this, I came back 8 years later, God brought me back to Israel. And everything started in Israel, you know.
When you were in your 20s, right? 21.
Yeah, I was already 21 years old when I came to Israel. I went to a kibbutz, Mishmar HaEmek, in Afula. I went to a kibbutz to learn Hebrew. After this, I went to the military. I joined the Golani, became Sayeret Golani. They took me for that. I couldn't believe it. You know, I was already, after the guys leave the military, I just joined the military at 21 years old, 22 years old. I wound up staying for about 18 months because we had Milchemet Mifratz with Saddam Hussein in 1991. The first bombing. I was able to help Israel with my service duty בסיירת, ואחרי זה הם אמרו לי, אתה צריך להגיע לווינגייט, אנחנו צריכים אותך בווינגייט, להראות לאנשים כמו גדי סקורניק, רוני קלוגר, דיוויד, no, it wasn't David, it was Mr. Avigzauer, I think Chaim Avigzauer. Eli Avigzauer, that's right. All these guys were alive, and they said, oh, we like this guy. He looks serious. Yeah. He looks serious. And that's how everything started.
Interesting. So you are in Israel and you are in Wingate. What now? You decided to open a gym in Israel or do something in work?
In Wingate, it was very funny because Gadi Skornik and Ronnie Kluger, well, Ronnie Kluger is still alive. I love that man. They're dearly. He helped me a lot, and so did Gadi. And so did everybody else because we had Krav Maga, you know. And, we had this dude, Dennis Hanover. I love these guys, right? And then we had David and Ninja, right? They said, oh, this is Ninja. How can this be? At 23 years old, a 5th-degree black belt. Godan, which is a 5th-degree black belt at 23 years old. Okay, 24, 23 years old. They couldn't believe it. I started. No, they didn't believe it. They tried to test me a few times, and I feel bad for the guys that they give me because the Kyokushinkai karate. I love Kyokushin. אני אחרי Kyokushin, אני חלק מזה. So they tried to use Kyokushin karate and judo on me. And I told them, I said, this is not sport what I do. I said, I'm going to hurt somebody very badly. You try to do sport, you know, you try to do. And they said, no, this is Krav Maga. I said, I said, this is not Krav Maga. I said, this is Magen David. They said, what? They said, no, this cannot be Magen David. I said, I'm David. I said, this is my shield. Okay, I don't care what you're thinking about the past. Maybe I'm here again. I said, but this is Magen David. I said, this is Ninjutsu. And at that time, you know, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on because, you know, you can't do this to Israelis. אתה לא יכול לעשות זה לאנשים בצבא, אני אוהב ישראלים, אני חולה על ישראל. אבל אנשים בצבא הם קצת בעייתיים. וגם, איך אומרים, אנשי שאתה קצינים, שאתה בא צעיר, תחשוב, אתה צעיר, אני צעיר, 23, 24, וכולם 30 ומשהו, עם גאווה שלהם, עם כל ה-heavy artillery that sits on their shoulder that says that זה קצין ראשון, ואני קורא להם את התחת לאלופים, כן, ואני קורא להם את התחת אלופים שלהם, שגע את המוח. אתה מבין איזה יכול להיות, אני דן 5 וזה בא לי דן 5, 10 שנים מתחתי. So I turned Wingate on its head, and I said, okay, I love Krav Maga, I love Histardut, this is number 1, but you're gonna see Magen David. And Magen David is ninjutsu, survival, number 1. And I started showing Koga Ryu ninjutsu, which today is known as Koga Rukai, as what you see I'm wearing, Black Dragon World Ninja, which started with Van Damme with the fancy movies, but the Koga Ryu, the Black Dragons, have been around for thousands of years. Since India, since Egypt, society that protects people, you know, protects honor and power and strength of honesty and loyalty and people, you know, protecting people. So the Kokorukai, or as you want to call it, Fury, you want to call it Magen David, I don't care what you call it, but survival, real survival, is the most important thing for people who are looking for peace, for the future and the benefit of our world. And this is where Fury is today. Whatever questions you have for me, Mr. Tal, I'm listening, because in about 15 minutes, we got to cut it short. I got to start classes. I'm at the school, as you see, I'm at the temple in Brooklyn at the moment. And we have classes starting in about 20 minutes. So that would probably be all of it. So I'm listening to you, and I hope you're enjoying all this.
Absolutely. I'll make it short. First of all, it's an amazing story. First time to hear it. So this is also my history, because you are my grandfather in martial arts. So it's absolutely amazing. I would like to ask you, in today's world, if you take a child or let's say an adult, and you want to build a warrior with the spirit that you mentioned before, do you think in today's world we can do this? Or probably it's gone? There were times, tough times back then, but today it's sport time. What do you think about it?
What you're seeing now has been going on since the beginning of man's day. Since the beginning that man started working, walking on the planet. בהתחלת החיים היה אדם ואיב, זה ככה זה, וזה יישאר עד הסוף שהבן אדם הולך על העולם. Whatever it is, as long as the will of man, the will of God, whatever you understand God to be, you know, is for the benefit of mankind, you can always take anyone. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're a baby. I don't care if you're old. I don't care if you're crippled. I don't care if you're a veteran. I don't care if you're figur sikhli. You can take anyone, as long as you are willing to give of yourself. Spirit is what is Fury. The spirit. The most important thing is spirit. This is written by Tanakh. This is written by Zohar. This is written by Torah. This is written in all the Bibles. In the Quran, Arabic Quran. It's written in Hindu, Buddhism, Zen, whatever it is. The spirit always carries on, because this is the true energy.
Goes together, the spirit and the body. You have to condition the body, and at the same time,
always
your spirit.
It's always about the spirit first. The spirit walks before anything. The spirit walks before anything. In your mind, your creation of energy starts everything. This is very deep. This is also karma. The beginning of spirit, which is God himself, Elohim etzmo, נותן לך את הנשמה, את הרוח, וזה מה שהולך קודם. הכוח רצון שאתה בונה, שאתה מחייב עצמך מרוח שנתן לך מה שאתה מאמין להיות אלוהים, הרוח עצמו, שבתוך הנשמה שלנו, זה מה שמתחיל את ההליכה של כל דבר. The spirit is what drives everything. The body, the mind, everything. And if you are genuine inside whatever it is that you are and you want to share, you can teach any living being. It could be even a dog, a parrot, a bird, I don't care, iguana, I don't care, a pussycat, a baby, anyone. You can teach anything or show them anything and you can understand one another. So teaching is a fundamental of our being, of our life existence. It's all about the person itself. It's all about the individual, the one that makes 2, 3, 500,000 million billion. Okay, this is very, very deep. This is not for everyone. This is very, very deep. The most simple thing that I can say for anyone simply, okay, is to try to be the best that you can be for yourself first. Don't be selfish. Not to be selfish. This is no. I don't know how to say selfish in Hebrew. How do you say selfish?
Anochi.
How?
Anochi.
Yes. לא להיות
anochi.
No, because you're given life to share. God, I believe that this is what I believe. I don't care what people believe. This is what I believe. I believe that you're given your life to share the light, to share the spirit, to share the love, to share the warmth, because this is why you are alive. The Almighty give his living being for you to live. He shared himself. So this is the beginning of you sharing for positivity in this world, in this universe that we are in, so you can teach anyone as long as you're willing to share and to give of yourself, because this is what you do and it'll come back to you. Again, this is the universe that we live in. This is what I call karma or the Akash. Akash is also used by Indian to explain the universal being and everything that is. But the spirit is what always continues from door to door to door, from generation to generation. And this is the true power.
And what can I do, let's ask, if I want to develop this kind of spirit?
Eat good food, listen to great music, dance, smile, meditate.
But the spirit of the warrior.
Yes. Listen, to have a spirit of the warrior, you don't have to break walls or break stones
or to live
or bleed.
In this kind of neighborhood.
That's right. The spirit of the warrior is the being that you're willing to fight every day to have a better life.
This is the true spirit, probably.
Yes. This is what David tells you.
Great. I also remember that you mentioned to be creative and to invent. As Albert Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. What do you think about it, about creativity, inventing?
This is the universe. This is the universe. You are the God of your universe. You are a universe. Each person is a universe. Each living thing is a universe. The minute that you touch upon this energy, you become part of this universe. And what you do with this universe is up to you. You have to create everything that's inside this universe for your benefit or the benefit of your universe, so it would thrive. It would become more lovelier, more prettier, more nicer, instead of destruction. What does destruction give you? The end of everything. Mm-hmm. Although sometimes that's necessary, because you never know how things are.
Amazing. I would like to ask you a few quick questions. Answer quickly. Okay, not something complicated. Describe yourself in 3 words.
I got one word.
Okay.
F-U-R-Y.
Nice.
Not last name, the system, the way. F-U-R-Y. Period. Fury.
A book that you recommend to read.
Oh wow. Oh wow, that is a lot of books. There are so many books. What I would recommend. I would recommend
your book, first copy. I'll buy first copy of your
book. What book I would recommend to read?
Your book.
My book.
Yes.
And my book is not finished yet. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But I would recommend for anyone to read the Bible.
The Bible.
I would recommend people to read the Old Testament and the New Testament. Read it. Don't take it too seriously. Yeah, don't take it too seriously because everybody is different. But it would open up your eyes to what was, what is, and what may be that you can create. Because we learn from history. We learn from history how not to make the same mistakes. And the Bible, you know, the Torah or Zohar, Tanachim, how do you say the New Testament and the Old Testament in Hebrew? How do you say this?
הברית הישנה והחדשה.
איזה?
הברית הישנה והחדשה.
That's right. It gives you an understanding of what was, what is, and what could be. You know, it's up to you to decide. Don't take it crazy. Don't become fanatic. You know, if you're reading the Quran or you're reading Buddhism, okay, this is all good. But the Bible is history. It shows us what was done in history and not to make the same mistakes again. Although we still do because we're people and nobody wants to believe in this. They say, who the hell needs all this, right? But I believe that if you learn where you come from, if you learn the history of what was, it makes you better understanding of who you are and what maybe you can do for the future better, but not religious. No politics and no religion. One love.
One love.
You know, one love.
I absolutely agree. What is the best advice that someone gave you?
Live every day like it's your last day. Nobody promised you tomorrow. Be grateful for the little things that you have today. Amen to that.
Amen. Do you have hobbies? Some kind of hobby that probably people don't know about Professor David Fury? What kind of hobbies? Or one?
I like to eat good food.
Good food.
I like to eat good food. I'm practicing.
Oh, we have something in common.
I'm practicing gourmet cooking.
Gourmet cooking. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
By the way, in New York City, you have great food, but also in Israel.
Well, look, I'm a very humble man. You know, we were lucky to have food on the table. So, you know, you were lucky that you had food to eat. I will never forget that. You know, I grew up on the streets of New York, you know. But today, I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm trying to work constantly. What you eat is what you are. You understand? This body, this machine has to have good fuel. So I practice gourmet cooking right now. Hopefully I become better at it instead of just barbecuing the way that we used to do בשטחים בזמן השירות. כל הזמן היו עושים על האש, על כל הג'יפים, על כל המנועים שהיו 200 מעלות בצל, למדתי איך לעשות אוכל מכל דבר שתופסים. חוץ מזה, oh yeah, simple food, man. How did they say, thank you God for the food? But I'm practicing my gourmet cooking. This is the hobbies. I suggest that you practice the same thing because you're going to need it in the future.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Give me a name of a person who influenced you the most.
This is not easy.
One name, one shot.
This is not easy. I'm gonna say something. I hope people don't take me the wrong way, but I'm gonna say who it is. And he was a very bad person, but he showed me the truth of life. He was a very terrible person, and he protected his family, his community, but he showed me the truth of life. His name was John Gotti. John Gotti. He was the head boss of the Gambino crime family.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, a terrible thing, but he showed me the truth of life because everybody else was trying to, brainwash and cover the eyes and convince that you have to follow them and follow them. And this man, showed me the truth of life, which was terrible. It was frightening. It was frightening, terrible, to this day. He did what he had to do. He paid a dear price. He died in jail, because he was a terrible gangster. But he showed me the truth of life. And the truth of life is very scary, but it's better to know the truth and be prepared than to know a lie and to die in fear. Remember that one.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Next question and last question. When we will see you in Israel again?
תתחיל להתפלל כל יום לבקש מאלוהים שלך שדייוויד חוזר חזרה לארץ. אני מקווה מאוד שזה יקרה, בגלל שאם אני בא רק בגלל הילדים. אם אני בא, זה רק בגלל ילדים. תבקש מאלוהים כל יום, כמו שאני מבקש, ואלוהים ייתן לנו ברכה בדרך. אמן. שיהיה לכם כל טוב, תשמור על עצמך, מיסטר יפה או יפיוף, ותשמור על כל הבנים וכל החבר'ה ממני. I thank you for the respect and the love, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you very much. It was a great honor, Professor David. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for the love and the respect.
Bye-bye.